Okay, back in the cave this week. I'm still working on my plans for the dragon. Remember our shadow dragon here. Did some work on that wing, as you can see there. Got it kind of angled a little better. Still not quite happy with the shape of these wings, and I don't want to push it any further to put a definite bend in it, or I wanted to keep an arc. So what we've been working on is, I had an idea. This client here, he sent me some miniatures in the past to work on, and I've done a couple of different miniatures for him over the years. Matter of fact, I have one I'm still working on here, that if you can make out this drider here. What I did was, it had broken and I fixed it, and I made this base for him. Some rocks and underground cavern type deal here. These are just some carved up foam and painted, and you know, a little, what, cat litter, is that what they say? Little clay rocks. Yeah, clay rocks. And get back in screen. And that's the paint job that they had, so I may send it back to him as is, you know, but I thought about actually repainting the drider himself and doing a, you know, a fancy little shiny beetle carapace type thing going on the back here or something, you know, giving him something unique to kind of look at. Anyway, been brainstorming about this dragon while I'm waiting on the putty to arrive. I can't believe it takes this long, but I found these pieces here from an old little base that went to like a plastic sea dragon, a pre-painted figurine type of thing that would go on a shelf. And I took it apart and I found a couple pieces really interesting here, and I'm going to use those to simulate some cavern rocks on this. Here, let me kind of give y'all, move these knives out so I don't cut myself. And you can see what I'm doing here, where they kind of have a very raised appearance in the back here. And I have taken some plaster of Paris and used a cake mold, wedding cake texture mold for the icing, I guess, fondant mold they call them. And they are typically used to make texture on the outside of a cake. Well, they had in there some stone and wood. Here we go, right here. You see this? This is really nice. It's real thin. They're not very big at all, as you can see here. This one's cool. It has planks, and if you can make a whole piece and keep it together, you know, you could do a whole floor of a ship, you know, end to end with these. Or you can do 1 inch is about 3 planks here. You can do some walkways, or you can do a 10-foot by getting 6 of these planks going. And of course, the little 3-plank sections break up real nice for making things out of, you know, floors or whatever. And they are made by Wilton. Let's see if we can get that. And they come, these two in a pack, for just under $10. I got them at the local Hobby Lobby. I checked Michael's and didn't find anything that was interesting, but I had seen these on an RPG terrain group that I'm with, and somebody else had found them, and they worked really good. You know, just mixed up some plaster of Paris, poured them in there, and let them set and harden. Came right out, no big issue. Got lots of nice detail. You can see the wood grain and knots and stuff in that. It's really nice. And you can see the rocks have a nice flagstone style texture going together. They are a little bit hard to work with because they come preformed in this design, but I guess if you were going to do a large walkway, that would be nice. But I was working on breaking up these, and I didn't break them all up. Some of them went down in big pieces here and here, over here. This black one, I had some from a previous cast of another project I'm working on that I had thrown in here, and that had already had some paint on them. There's some brown ones there, and there's some gray ones in here to fill in all the little areas. And then I've started to add some texture flocking here with some medium grain, fine grain sand. And I just used wood glue on this piece of styrofoam. Let's see, without losing any pieces off of it. This is just standard expanded or extruded polystyrene. Just had a little piece cut that was about 8 by 8. It's actually a little less than 8 deep and a little more than 8 wide. So, but it works out really well. You can see my flocking is still falling off. This is where we are. We're going to do a little scene. I have a couple of miniatures. I was talking about that. This is my rambling problem. I have a couple of miniatures that were his, that he had given me a long time ago to work on. Now, you'll probably recognize these. These are Warhammer, I believe, Fantasy Chaos Dwarfs. And I think they were like ballistas or bombardiers, maybe cannon guy. And he's got 2 little men that come with him. And they used to have a carrier for carrying like a cannonball type thing. And see if you can make out what I've got here. There's a couple of little Chaos Dwarfs. Their hands are made to hold this little platform where they're carrying like cannonballs across the battlefield or whatever. Well, what I decided to do was, in my little brainstorm, use these little guys like Durgar, and they're stealing dragon eggs. And if you can make this out here, you'll see I'm going to have my little guy back here, and these guys standing there, and they're going to be stealing some dragon eggs, and he's directing them, but right back here, they're busted. So this is going to be a little brainstormed little diorama for this client. And since I have these miniatures that are already his, that have been sitting here for a while, that he had stopped messing with Warhammer or whatever, and he wasn't really worried about them, so they didn't get worked on. But I'll go ahead and finish those up as like a special to give them back to him, and have them painted as little Durgar. And I'm going to do some custom little dragon eggs and a custom little cart. This is just a little cardboard and stick mock-up. I'll get him with some Sculpey or some polymers or something, and polymer clay, or I don't know, I might use some plaster of Paris to cast a couple of things, you know, I don't know. I tend to do weird things. I'll find something. I found when I was pouring some of this, I had some extra plaster, so I just grabbed a couple of things. Like I got these little, I guess they're like communion cups, I guess, that a church used. I've had a bunch of them in a bag somewhere. I don't know where they came from, but I use them for mixing up washes and paints and whatever. And you know, they crack a lot, but I've got about probably 500 to 1,000 of them over there in a bag, and I just toss them when I'm done. But I poured some in the bottom of these cups to make some little circle things that might, who knows what you could use that for, anyway. And I did a few other little things, and I did partial pieces of the wood. And it gives you a shot up of those texture planks. Those are really nice. There are some air bubbles in there, but I've been reading up on how to deal with that with some jet dry solution, what they call wet water. There are different ways to make wet water, but you just fill the mold with wet water and keep it wet in there, and it keeps the air bubbles down when you pour your plaster into it, you know. Or the consistency of plaster may need to change. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to do some experiments. And I've done a couple other little things, like I had some holes and some foam, and I've got a D&D campaign coming, adventure campaign I'm running, and adventures coming up where they have to break into these places and destroy these ancient artifact stones that have been dug up, and they're being used. So I'm going to probably use these either as the stones or as a stand for the stones or something, and kind of, you know, clean them up and paint them and put them together. But that's where we are in the cave this week, and I hope my putty arrives soon and I can get to work on fixing up and painting this guy and show y'all what I'm going to do for the Shadow Dragon. And I may even do some videos of painting some other stuff, and I'll get back to the bones real soon. Even though I'm not real impressed with those materials, I'm probably going to do a little more of some other projects. I do a lot of creative stuff, so I'm not going to stick to just my miniature painting. I'm working on some modeling now with a couple of things, and once I get some models built, I may work on some castings, and got some ideas that I'm throwing around, and I may do some videos on some of that here soon, since I'm trying to come up with a new thing. So I hope you guys enjoy checking out my process and how I think about doing things, and we'll see you soon.